Internet, and welcome to episode 7! That means Ramblings has been going for a whole week! You don't seem as excited as I am. But you should be, because today, man versus beast. But not really, because we're going to talk about how that versus is maybe not so appropriate or helpful. So here we go. I'm Rebecca Farnum. This is Ramblings with Rebecca. Welcome to episode 7, Nature versus Culture. You may recall that in this kind of unit of ramblings, if you will, we're looking at dichotomies, and for the next couple days I'm going to be talking about some dichotomies that I see as particularly prevalent in Western, especially, since I'm a Westerner, societies and cultures in the way that we frame and view and understand the world. And today, nature versus culture. So firstly, what is the dichotomy? Well, I think that there's this line that is drawn kind of, wherever we feel like drawing it, between things that are somehow nature versus things that are culture, right? So something is either natural or artificial. We see this in food labeling a lot. Something is wild or tame. This often has to do with how much control we see humans as having over it and or the way it was created and made. And to me, it's kind of ambiguous and an artificial line, if you will, because, you may have forgotten, you're an animal. And that's good. I personally enjoy being physical and doing things like running and sleeping and eating. Especially enjoy eating, as you probably remember. I believe in the power of nom nom nom, I think has been the most quoted quote thus far. Anyway, so firstly, you are natural, and that's cool. Now, of course, we can have a debate along theological or philosophical and even scientific lines about whether or not somehow there is a soul in humans that there isn't in other animals, or the advancement of the human brain is somehow so much further than the advancement of other animals that we belong in our own category. And that's fine. I'm not denying that there are in fact differences between, say, humans and bears, or humans and dolphins, or humans and earthworms. There are, obviously. But we have managed to make that difference so wide apart and that line so rigid that somehow we're no longer part of nature and we're no longer a part of the cycles. And I think that does a lot of damage. One, of course, it's just wrong. We are part of the cycle and we do influence things, and the impacts that we make on our environment affect the environment and cycles and other parts of nature, and also nature affects us. I think we tend to not want to let it, right? Because we want to have control over everything. But the truth is, nature affects us and we affect nature, and that's okay. And maybe we should stop pretending it doesn't. The other really big problem for me with the nature versus culture dichotomy is the way that it is often used to reinforce existing power relations and kind of legitimize our views on certain groups of people. So, for example, women are often associated as much closer to nature somehow than men are. And this kind of language and understanding and framework plays a lot into sexism and why it's okay that men are often on top of women, right? Because it's somehow natural that women are closer to nature and men are more cultured and thus superior. Because of course, it's better to be cultured than it is to be natural. Not just women, of course. This also has a lot of power and play in racism and in the way that certain ways of living and societies are seen as somehow being more natural than they are cultural, and thus Western societies that are very business-oriented and urbanized and somehow better, further advanced along this culture stream are somehow superior to societies and ways of life that are more in tune with nature, more natural. This was a lot of the discourse that helped frame and legitimize colonialism and continues to frame and legitimize why it is that Western cultures can be seen as superior to other cultures. Problem for me. Now again, I don't think that somehow culture doesn't exist and that there aren't helpful reasons for seeing some differences between man-made things and natural things. But I think sometimes that line becomes so rigid and is not helpful and is in fact very harmful.